Greetings to everyone. It's always an honor, great honor to speak at these gatherings. And I just want to introduce the topic first, so that there's a possibility to drift off, wherever it might take us. Obviously, this is just an introduction. It's a light-hearted talk, so don't take it seriously, or don't take it too seriously. But before I do, I'd like to invoke that which is eager to speak. So I'm offering this. To the deity that governs that which allows us to see beauty, which allows us to share beauty, which allows us to experience beauty as an inherent part of our being. And let everyone who witnesses this be transported into that which is rightfully theirs, irrespective of their chosen paths and traditions and cultures. Let it be recognized as but awareness of your own. I offer this at the feet of Tripura Sundari Ma, the beauty of the three worlds that purifies the speech and the heart and the mind of those who worship her in any form, anywhere. Speak, O Goddess. And let it be shared. So, in the myriad of ways to get to know our essential nature, beauty has a special part. In respective tradition, it is known as the supreme way. I will try my best to relate something which maybe will make it more accessible. But I want to reassure you that it's not so much what I'm going to say. It's a secondary and maybe even irrelevant. Because don't get me wrong, I might just completely go off the track, as I often do. But who knows, maybe something will slip in. And let that what slips in do its work. So what is this path? What is this path that has been recognized as an additional, yet additional path to recognize that which is eager to be recognized deep within. If we have for a moment a perspective that already exists in certain traditions, that one way or the other, the path to self-realization cannot be a chaotic affair, even if it may seem so. But it would necessarily follow that which already reflects the very, very order of this creation. In other words, these 5 elements that exist as the very, very building blocks of reality at every level, from gross to that which cooks the food on the stove, to the water we drink and wash our faces and our feet, to the air we breathe, to the sound that we hear, the music that allows it to be transported, to that which essentially is a reflection of this elemental order. And at every phase of creation, there must be something that gives birth to something else. So therefore there are blueprints at the level of the finest frequency where that which is eager to express itself only acquires the quality which then is being carried quite beautifully and quite orderly into this, what we then can partake and experience and call it, this is my experience. Whether that is strawberry on your tongue, a slice of mango, whether the lips are touching, the thirsty lips, the glass of water, whether the lips of the beloved united with the one they only eager to embrace. This is only for the sake of something which already united deep, down or above, whichever way you want to put it. It's besides the point. Just like that. So this already is a 5-fold nature, the 5-fold. And the juiciness of our personalities, the juiciness, the very, very uniqueness of our personalities is very much colored. It gains the flavor of that which dominates our embodied awareness. And that very often is the path that we are to enter or that we are to follow. We may later on confess, guess what, I've always had that. Even as a child, I always had this desire to penetrate the deepest mystery through the power of my intellect. So, the path of knowledge is being already treaded before we had the chance to even sense it, before we even had the chance to recognize what that is. In the same way, in a likewise manner, there are these very unique pathways, and what becomes predominant essentially only reflects that what is already there, obviously. Whether this is a watery or fiery element, or whether this is an element that moves everything, that puts everything in motion. So you can read yogas and you can just find the allusions to that, from Bhakti Yoga to Jnana Yoga to Karma Yoga, you name them. Yet along this very distinctive, they are not random. No. Don't get me wrong, don't think that I'm kind of like mumbling something over to myself. They are distinctive pathways. They are indeed yogas. They are indeed pathways to attain union with the disunion. That's what yoga is. It's a union with the disunion. So it follows a specific quality which is the most resonant with that which is already there as the predominant trait of our, even this temporary personality. Therefore, this has been understood in cultures where the investigation into the domain of consciousness has been an ongoing affair. Yes, all this will confluence. Of course, all this will confluence sooner or later. There's no doubt about it. But we choose the path, or the path chooses us, simply because that's the way nature would have it. And although these different yogas are very well known, they're very well known, there are expositions. And when I say yoga, it doesn't only mean that something born in the Indian subcontinent. You can find these yogas in every culture. Every culture has yogas. Every culture has signs of union. Some of them are more apparent, some of them more alive, others maybe slightly withered away, and the sources changed the containers, But it has to be that way. And along with that, there is this path of beauty. It's a very unique, distinctive path. And from the standpoint of view of certain tradition, namely known as Kashmir Shaivism, the path of beauty is not a random affair. It's not something which is just there, or just because I like tulips in the spring, or just because I love the way the snow settles on the peaks, and I'm sensitive to the way the shadow of the setting sun plays freely on the wall of that surface. It is not just because your heart flutters when you see a beautiful face or when you hear a beautiful sound, and when you perceive something through any apertures, and that sends shivers down your spine. This is all part of it, of course, indispensable and inseparable part of it. But the beauty here is something else. It's the face of awareness looking at itself. It's a recognition of that which is actually by its very nature terrifying. It stops our heart. It swells it. The enormity of that experience has been given a special name. It has a special term. It's a throb of consciousness. It's the quiver at the heart of all and everything. This is the path of beauty. Sometimes people come up to me and they say that I very much, and it happened even today, I very much like what you said about the path of beauty, and I very much resonate with that because it reflects my own longing. It reflects my own way of seeing the world. Yes, of course. This path belongs to everyone. In fact, it's the path of the common folk, and I will explain in a moment why. Yet it's not something which is attributed to the aesthetic nature of experience. Or we would have to reevaluate what we mean by that term, aesthetic. It is not based on tastes. It can only be cultured through the refinement of perception. It cannot be taught by its very nature. It cannot be taught. It can only be cultured through the process of refinement of that which allows us to go beneath the experience itself. The experience itself is always robbing us from something else. It pockets the experience itself. It's a paradox. Everything is a play of shadow of the real deal, of the real thing. And that's what the path of beauty is about. It's to rendering asunder reality available through the sensory perception and abide in a state of perpetual wonder. It's not knowing that this is beautiful, it's discovering beauty at every instant, seeing consciously at every instant, giving birth to that beauty, because reality does not exist as an independent phenomenon. Reality is not there outside of our perception. We make that reality what it is by an act of perceiving it. But that can only happen when something melts, something is molten, something returned to the molten state of pure potentiality. It's not given. It is there as a potentiality that has to be reclaimed again. I've told that story a few times already, so I may be repeating myself, but there it goes, a crushed version. Brahma, the creator, one of the Hindu trinity, asked, great poet of his time, sage Vyasa, to come up with something that will organize it all. So the sage came up with all the Vedas arranged. All the Vedas were arranged. All of them, in the poetic way, in the poetic form, inspired, arranged. Authored by different rishis, but arranged and rearranged by Vyasa. Therefore, he is known as Veda Vyasa. When Brahma went through this, he was very pleased, he liked it. He said, good job. But then he paused for a moment and said, wait a minute, all this requires a learned scholar. All this requires someone who already is quite advanced, even to read it, even to comprehend of what is being said here. So he was sent back to come up with something else. And Vyasa, being Vyasa, took it as an inspiration, and what he came up with is considered to be the fifth Veda. There are 4 Vedas classically spoken of. He came up with what is known, goes under, as also known as the fifth Veda. The fifth Veda is literally the birth of drama. The birth of drama. It's a unique perspective on aesthetic experience. And the arts were born. This is the foundational, if you will, scripture, foundational scripture on the origins of creative processes and how they are perceived and what they are capable of doing. So the birth of drama is at the heart of all arts. Whether the theater in India or the theater in the ancient Greece, as the history tells us, performed under an open sky, was an attempt to bring forth that experience, that cathartic experience which will allow to render reality from that opaque state of perceiving what is being perceived and taking it all for granted. The possibility is created. That's what art is about. Beauty here is literally was given a chance to enter the process where it can be related, translated into a form. All the arts that we know, down to the celluloid art of this, whatever we call the cinema experience, has its birth in that. It's an attempt to have experience which can potentially transform us. That's what's the noblest purpose of all arts, is to purify the elements through an act of composing them into something. Elements, where you have a clay here, piece of clay and some water, and you're just making, on the potter's wheel, you're making your pot, teacup. It's an act of purification of these elements through giving and putting them into a form which will allow that possibility of setting them free even in that moment of being a form. This is the most direct and apt metaphor for human incarnation. This is what we are in disguise. An act of purification eager to be cognized and brought back to where it belongs. So the art of drama is not for the sake of entertainment. Never was it is for the sake of entertainment. It is always for the sake of transporting us. Entertainment came later. It comes with decadence. Everything otherwise is an act of offering. Whatever we do is an act of offering. It becomes that willing act of offering. It doesn't matter what form it takes, whether this is tragedy or comedy, it's not an entertainment. Never was it about entertainment. It was about to transport us, to transport consciousness through the act of purification, through this cathartic experience, where reality, even for a moment, can be rendered, where the canvas can be slashed like that, and you can just experience this moment of oneness, even tentatively, intimately, because that's what happens at the moment when subject and object merge even for a fraction of a second. It's palpable sense of unity. This is the real sense of non-duality. It doesn't happen on the level of the mind, because mind works through the instrumentality of, by its very nature, dual structure of the brain. So mind cannot experience dual state of consciousness because it has to die, or it has to at least settle down. When it settles down, there's no mind. This is the Theravada no mind for you. So who is entertaining the state of oneness here? Who is experiencing it? And this is where the path of beauty is all about. This is that throb, the quiver of consciousness within the heart of your own. It is the very, very seat of your own awareness, where everything is behold, as that quiver, simultaneously experiencing the expansion and contraction as nothing but wave of your own awareness, as ebb and flow, that coming of your heart and being re-emerged and submerged back into the heart. This is the path of beauty. Whichever way you take, whichever way you choose to express yourself, through graffiti or through tea ceremony, makes no difference. Whether you dance on stage or under a tree when no one's watching. It's an act of offering. Wait a minute, what about someone who is not directly partaking in the act of creation? And this is why this path is so beautiful, because there is no such thing. There is no such thing as not partaking in creation. Every time we behold beauty, whether as a work of nature or as a handmade object, we bring it forth into awareness, and that means into being, and we'll make it alive. A work of art as such is dead unless someone rejoices in its glory. Hence, this is the act of offering. It is being offered to being re-experienced, experienced, and as soon as it is experienced, it is being offered back into awareness as that experience which allows something to take place, something deeply intimate. And that's what I meant, that this is an introduction. An introduction, and we can take and go, we can take from here anywhere. There's so many different ways we can go from here. So many different ways. But I felt compelled to bring it on some times ago, so that that path is being actualized and trodden, and there is this awareness and understanding that the path of beauty is not some kind of a flimsy affair of just liking the flowers, or the way the rain falls on the leaves and the sound it produces. It's not about enjoying walking on the sand. It's about hearing the whisper beneath the whisper. It's being touched by that which reignites the sense of touch. It's giving birth to reality at each and every breath. This is the path of beauty. It's not about being born an artist or attending a class or a school or an art school, having a diploma or being given a talent. Everyone is an artist in disguise when this is understood. Everyone, absolutely everyone, is in the process of painting a greater picture. We all are here in the process of making that. So this is more or less what I wanted to relate, give or take. If we have any time left, I'll be more than happy to relate back. I don't know what time is it now. Oh, here's the watch. Here's the watch. So we've got 10 more minutes, right? 12 more minutes.
It's so lovely to hear you speak on this topic that's so dear to my heart. I actually wrote a dissertation called What is Beauty? And it was not a normal research thing. It was just working with 6 people that together we were just constantly asking, what is beauty? What is beauty, in a lot of different ways. And it was profound. I mean, I feel like I know at least some of what you're pointing to in my experience of that. And I guess my question is, can you offer like specific, how would you suggest someone embark on this path? So for me, what is beauty was a beautiful question. So maybe that's something you might offer someone, or do you have other thoughts on that?
Yeah, beautiful, so beautiful. Thank you, Maya. There are, of course, measured way of how this can be answered. But since we don't have much time to waste, I would speak of that which I personally, myself, have experienced and later realized lived my life by. Find what you love. And let that become your obsession. be possessed by that quality. It's a quality of your awareness. Invoke the essence of beauty as the goddess that is there waiting to be rediscovered. Let her take over. Every cell, every tissue, be the worshipper. Worship it. Worship it in everything, in every way, so that the life is no longer life. Life is nothing you can call life, but an act of worship. Let it take you over, gradually, and then suddenly. Let it ravish you. Open yourself up and willingly surrender to that and melt in the embraces and become the beauty and the love as you are. This is the path. This is to bring the Shakti as the goddess through and into everything we do. Thank you, everyone. Jai Gurudev.